Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Harmony Station, watching the swirling colors of the Andromeda Arm stretch across the void. After 15 years representing humanity in the Galactic Council, she thought she'd seen everything. She was wrong. The holographic report floating before her showed footage that made her stomach turn. The Viridian ship's distress beacon had been meant to fail, designed to break down before anyone could trace it. But human engineering had always excelled at making the impossible possible. "Play it again," she commanded, her voice steady despite the rage building in her chest. The hologram flickered, showing grainy footage of massive harvesting ships descending on a peaceful agricultural world. The Meridians, a species that had only achieved spaceflight a decade ago, never stood a chance. "Ambassador," her AI assistant ARIA spoke, "the Galactic Council is convening in 10 minutes. They're calling it a routine border dispute." Sarah's laugh was bitter. Routine. They're systematizing genocide and calling it commerce. She turned from the window, her diplomatic robe swishing against the polished floor. "Prepare the emergency protocols, and get me a secure line to Earth Command." The council chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, its crystalline walls refracting light in patterns that soothed most species' neural patterns. Today, they only heightened Sarah's anger. The chamber's upper tiers were filled with representatives from over 200 spacefaring civilizations. Many were already arguing in their native tongues, their universal translators creating a cacophony of diplomatic doublespeak. High Counselor Zextal, their crystalline form shimmering with diplomatic protocols, called for order. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Chen of Earth. Though we must note that bringing unverified intelligence reports to an emergency session is highly irregular." Sarah stepped to the center of the chamber, her movements deliberate. "Irregular. I'll tell you what's irregular. A founding member of this council operating secret harvesting fleets to strip mine developing civilizations of their resources and their people." The chamber erupted. A Nexian representative, their tentacles writhing in agitation, shot upward. "These are serious accusations, human. The Viridian Collective has always operated within Council guidelines for uplifting pre-FTL species." Uplifting. Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. With a gesture, she expanded her holographic display. The chamber fell silent as footage played of Viridian ships systematically processing captured civilians into storage pods. "This isn't uplifting. This is industrialized slavery." High Counselor Zextal's crystalline surface clouded. "Ambassador Chen, while these images are disturbing, we must follow proper diplomatic channels. A committee can be formed to investigate." "With all due respect, High Counselor," Sarah interrupted, "humanity didn't join this council to file reports while innocents suffer. We joined because we believed in something greater than ourselves. A community of species working together, protecting each other, growing together." She paused, looking around the chamber. "We were wrong." The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah continued, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "Humanity remembers what it means to be the vulnerable ones, to be seen as resources instead of people. We swore we'd never let it happen to others." She straightened, squaring her shoulders. "As of this moment, Earth is invoking Article 7 of the Mutual Defense Treaty. We're declaring the Meridian situation a Class 1 humanitarian crisis." The chamber exploded into chaos. Article 7 hadn't been invoked in over 3 centuries. It gave the invoking species broad military authority to intervene in situations of extreme crisis. "You can't." The Nexian representative's translator barely kept up with their agitated clicks. "The human fleet is barely a defensive force. You have no capacity to." Sarah smiled, and something in that smile made several council members lean back. "That's where you're wrong. Humanity never stopped preparing for the worst. We just got better at hiding it." She turned to leave, then paused. "A final note for the record. As of now, any vessel participating in these harvesting operations will be considered hostile by Earth forces. We'll treat them accordingly." The council erupted again, but Sarah was already walking out. Her quantum comm was connecting to Earth Command before she reached the corridor. This is Ambassador Chen. Implementation of Protocol Valkyrie is now authorized. She took a deep breath. Wake the fleet. As she strode toward her ship, Sarah thought about all the times the Council had dismissed humans as primitive, emotional, or unstable. They were about to learn why evolution on a death world had made humanity uniquely qualified to be the galaxy's protectors. Fleet Admiral Viktor Petrov stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching as centuries of human preparation unveiled itself to the galaxy. Deep within the lunar regolith, massive hangar doors were opening for the first time in decades. Ships that officially didn't exist emerged from their slumber, their hulls gleaming under the harsh spotlights. "Status report," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of 30 years of service. Colonel Zhang's fingers danced across her holographic interface. "Operation Lazarus is proceeding as planned, sir. The Artemis battle group is at 82% activation. Prometheus and Atlas groups reporting similar numbers." Victor nodded, his eyes fixed on the massive display showing feeds from across the solar system. Similar scenes were playing out on Mars, Europa, and in the asteroid belt. Humanity had never stopped preparing for the worst. They'd just gotten better at hiding it. "Sir," Zhang interrupted his thoughts, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Titan Base. They're reporting unusual activity from the Council observation post." "Show me." The main display shifted to show the Council's monitoring station on Titan. The alien structure was usually quiet, maintaining its facade of watching Earth's primitive space capabilities. Now it was blazing with activity, its quantum sensors trying to make sense of what they were detecting. Victor allowed himself a small smile. "Looks like our guests are finally noticing the party preparations. Open a channel to all command staff." He straightened, addressing the hidden heart of humanity's true space force. "This is Fleet Admiral Petrov. For centuries, we've maintained this fleet in secret, not because we wanted war, but because we remembered what it meant to be helpless. Today, that changes. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity never forgot its duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Across the solar system, ships that had been disguised as orbital habitats, mining platforms, and research stations revealed their true nature. The Artemis Group alone comprised 30 capital ships, each one a masterpiece of human engineering, enhanced by carefully controlled applications of alien technology. "Admiral," Zhang called out, "Council diplomatic vessels are approaching Luna orbit. They're demanding explanations for what they're calling unauthorized military mobilization." "Put them through." Victor turned to face the diplomatic feed. 3 alien faces appeared: a Nexian, a Zoran, and a quantum intelligence representing the Council's Military Observation Committee. The Zoran spoke first, its feathers bristling with agitation. "Admiral Petrov, your species is in violation of at least 15 disarmament treaties. The Council demands an immediate." "The Council demands nothing," Victor interrupted calmly. "As of 20 minutes ago, Earth invoked Article 7 of the Mutual Defense Treaty. We are now operating under emergency humanitarian protocols." The quantum intelligence's avatar flickered. "Your stated fleet capacity was less than 50 defensive vessels. Our sensors are detecting over 300 capital ships, with more emerging." This level of deception was necessary, Victor finished, because while the Council debated procedures and formed committees, species were being harvested. While you watched us, dismissing humans as primitive and emotional, we built the fleet that would one day be needed to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. He gestured, and the display showed the fleet forming up. Massive battleships flanked by cruisers and carriers, each one bearing the marks of human innovation. Where alien ships were elegant and standardized, human vessels were brutally efficient, each one unique, adapted and improved over decades of secret development. These ships represent humanity's promise to never again stand by while the strong prey on the weak. Yes, we hid them. Yes, we deceived you. But ask yourselves this: What does it say about the Council that we felt we had to? The Nexian's tentacles writhed, and what Victor had learned was their expression of deep concern. The Council will not authorize. We're not asking for authorization, Victor stated firmly. We're extending the courtesy of informing you. The fleet launches in 6 hours. Any Council species that wishes to join us in stopping these harvesting operations is welcome. If not, stay out of our way. He cut the transmission before they could respond. Around him, the command center hummed with activity as the fleet continued to awaken. Reports streamed in from across the system. Weapons systems online, crews at battle stations, jump drives charging. Sir, Zhang reported, Ambassador Chen's ship is requesting emergency docking. She says she has critical intelligence about the Harvester Fleet's next target. Victor nodded. Grant them priority clearance. And Colonel, send word to all ships. Operation Valkyrie is now active. The Deathworlders are going hunting. As he watched his fleet assemble, Victor thought about all the times alien diplomats had questioned why humans seemed to plan for every possible disaster, why they insisted on redundancies and fail-safes that seemed excessive to more advanced species. They were about to learn that humanity's paranoia had a purpose. The hunters were about to become the hunted, and they would learn why every species that had ever tried to conquer Earth had failed. Humanity wasn't just fighting for justice, they were fighting to protect. And that made them the most dangerous force in the galaxy. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the HFY Hyperion, watching as her crew prepared for humanity's first major space battle in centuries. The massive battleship, officially registered as a deep space research vessel, hummed with barely contained power as its true weapon systems came online. All systems are combat ready, Captain, reported Commander Davis, her XO. The fleet is in formation and awaiting your signal. Maya nodded, studying the tactical display. Ambassador Chen's intelligence had been precise. The Harvester Fleet was preparing to strike a pre-FTL civilization in the Orion Spur. 3 million sentients were about to discover they weren't alone in the universe in the worst possible way. Status of the stealth systems, she asked. Operating at peak efficiency, her chief engineer responded. The quantum mimicry field is stable. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're just background radiation. This was humanity's first real test of their hybrid technology. Alien quantum mechanics merged with human ingenuity. The Council races had always assumed humans were decades behind in quantum engineering. They'd never guessed that Earth had cracked the code years ago. They'd just chosen to use it differently. Message from Fleet Command. Her communications officer announced. Admiral Petrov confirms Operation Sanctuary is greenlit. We are authorized to engage. Maya straightened in her command chair. Send to all ships. Execute jump sequence on my mark. Remember, people, we're not just fighting for justice. We're fighting for every species that ever looked up at the stars with hope instead of fear. The bridge crew tensed as the jump drives spooled up. Humanity's version of FTL travel wasn't as elegant as alien designs, but it was faster and far more unpredictable. Another advantage of evolving on a death world. Humans had learned to embrace controlled chaos. Jump in 3, 2, 1. Mark. Reality twisted as 30 human warships tore holes in space-time, emerging directly in the path of the Harvester Fleet. The alien vessels, massive industrial ships designed for processing entire populations, were caught completely off guard. Enemy fleet composition confirms intelligence, Tactical reported. 27 harvester ships, 15 escort vessels. They're scrambling to combat positions, but their response is sluggish. Maya allowed herself a grim smile. They're not used to their prey fighting back. All ships, execute Battle Plan Delta. Protect the civilian population at all costs. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, their formation splitting into predetermined attack groups. Where alien fleets fought with rigid efficiency, humans had learned to adapt and improvise. Each ship captain had broad tactical autonomy within the overall strategy. Ma'am, we're being hailed, communications reported. The Harvester Fleet commander is demanding our surrender. Put them through. A Viridian appeared on screen, its crystalline features arranged in what Maya had learned was their expression of supreme confidence. Unknown vessels, you are interfering in a sanctioned resource acquisition operation. Stand down or... This is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Fleet. Maya cut in. We are here under Article 7 authority. Your resource acquisition ends today. Stand down and prepare to be boarded. The Viridian's features shifted to confusion. Then alarm as their sensors finally penetrated the humans' stealth systems. Impossible. Your species doesn't have this level of technology. The Council doesn't know everything about us, Maya replied. Here's what they missed. Humans don't just fight to win. We fight to protect. And that makes us very, very dangerous. She cut the transmission. All ships, weapons free. Priority targets are their processing vessels. Don't let a single harvester ship near that planet. The battle that followed would be studied in war colleges for centuries. Human ships moved in seemingly chaotic patterns that nevertheless formed a perfect defensive screen around the planet. Their weapons were devastating combinations of brute force and quantum engineering. Railguns accelerated by quantum fields, missiles guided by AI that could outthink alien point defense systems. Harvester ships attempting to break through Sector 7, Tactical reported. Not on my watch, Maya growled. Hyperion actual to all ships in Sector 7. Execute maneuver Thunderstrike. Her battle group responded instantly, their ships performing a complex dance that looked like madness, but placed them perfectly to catch the enemy in a devastating crossfire. The harvesters, used to dealing with primitive or helpless prey, had no defense against humanity's centuries of preparing for exactly this type of fight. Enemy fleet is in disarray, Commander Davis reported. They're attempting to retreat. Maya leaned forward. Not all of them. Look at their flagship. They're charging weapons. The massive harvester vessel was indeed preparing for one final attack. Its captain had apparently decided that if they couldn't process this world's population, they would destroy it. All power to forward shields, Maya commanded. Plot an intercept course. We're going to show them why you don't threaten innocent lives in front of humans. The Hyperion moved with surprising grace for a ship its size, placing itself between the harvester and the planet. The enemy vessel fired, its main weapon capable of cracking a planet's crust. But humanity had spent centuries preparing for exactly this kind of moment. The Hyperion's shields, reinforced by technologies the Council thought impossible for humans to master, held firm. Return fire, Maya ordered calmly. Show them what a Deathworlder's revenge looks like. The battle would be remembered not just for humanity's victory, but for how they won. Not a single civilian was lost. Not one harvester ship escaped. And the pre-FTL civilization below would wake up tomorrow, never knowing how close they'd come to extinction, or who had saved them. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson. Humans weren't just good at fighting. They were good at protecting. And they were only just getting started. Grand Admiral Helena Santos watched the tactical display aboard the EFs of Prometheus as reports flooded in from across 3 sectors of space. The initial victory at Orion had only been the beginning. The Viridian Collective had responded to humanity's intervention with full force, revealing the true scale of their harvesting operations. Status update, she commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had spent decades preparing for exactly this moment. Multiple engagements across the Perseus arm, her strategic AI reported, its holographic form flickering with constant data updates. The Viridians have deployed their primary battle fleets. They're not hiding anymore. Helena studied the flowing streams of data. The Viridians had finally shown their true face to the galaxy, not just harvesters, but conquerors who had been slowly building their power for centuries. Their ships were emerging from hidden bases across multiple sectors, each one a masterpiece of advanced technology. They thought we'd back down when we saw their real strength, Helena mused. They still don't understand humans at all. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency as reports continued to arrive. The Hyperion battle group had already engaged a Viridian force twice their size near the Carina Nexus. Captain Rodriguez was proving why humanity had chosen her for that first crucial battle. Message from Earth Command, her communications officer announced. The Council is in emergency session. Several member species are requesting immediate human protection. Helena allowed herself a grim smile. Funny how quickly they've changed their tune about our primitive fleet. Send word to all commands. Implementation of Protocol Aegis is authorized. Her XO, Commander Jackson, raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, Aegis Protocol was designed for full-scale war. Are you sure? The Viridians just deployed 30,000 ships from hidden bases. Helena interrupted. They've been planning this for centuries. Yes, I'm sure. She stood, addressing her bridge crew directly. What we're seeing isn't just about harvesting populations. This is a long-planned conquest, and we just forced them to show their hand early. Send to all fleet commanders. Execute Emergency War Plan Delta. Across human-controlled space, a second wave of ships emerged from hiding. These weren't just the defensive fleet that had shocked the Council. These were humanity's true weapons of war, ships that incorporated technology the galaxy thought impossible for primitive humans to master. The Viridian main fleet is advancing on the Pleiades colony cluster, Tactical reported. 7,000 ships, ma'am. They're using quantum-locked formations our sensors shouldn't be able to penetrate. Shouldn't being the key word, Helena replied. Deploy the QEM countermeasures. Let's show them why assuming humans couldn't understand quantum mechanics was their second biggest mistake. The space around the human fleet rippled as devices decades in development activated. Viridian quantum-locked formations, supposedly impenetrable, began to waver. Their first biggest mistake. Commander Jackson asked, watching as the enemy fleet's perfect formation began to break apart. Thinking that just because we're young, we're naive. Helena's voice was steel. Thinking that because we prefer peace, we don't know war. Humanity remembers every lesson our history taught us, Commander, including the price of failing to stop conquers early. The Prometheus's battle group moved with lethal grace, their formation seemingly chaotic, but perfectly coordinated. Where Viridian ships fought with mathematical precision, human vessels danced through space in patterns that defied prediction. All ships, weapons free, Helena commanded. Show them why evolution on a death world made us different. The battle that followed would rewrite military doctrine across the galaxy. Human ships didn't just fight. They adapted mid-battle, changing tactics faster than the Viridians' combat computers could analyze. Each vessel acted with individual initiative while maintaining perfect coordination with the fleet. Enemy flagship is attempting to coordinate a new formation, Tactical reported. They're trying to adapt to our combat style. Too late, Helena replied. Execute Maneuver Thunderbolt. The human fleet moved as one, their apparently random movements suddenly revealing themselves as an elaborate trap. The Viridian fleet found itself caught in a three-dimensional crossfire, their perfect formations becoming a perfect target. Message from the Viridian command ship, communications announced. They're demanding to know how we're blocking their quantum-locked systems. Helena's response was cold. Tell them that's what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. When you assume that because a species chooses peace, they don't remember war. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Humanity had spent centuries preparing not just weapons, but strategies. They'd studied every advanced species, learned their weaknesses, and planned countermeasures, all while appearing to be simple, emotional Deathworlders. When it was over, Helena opened a channel to all human ships. This is Grand Admiral Santos. The Viridian main fleet is in retreat. But this isn't just about victory in battle. This is about showing the galaxy that there's another way. We fight not because we love war, but because we hate what happens when good people do nothing. She paused, watching as rescue ships moved to assist damaged vessels. Both human and Viridian. We're different from them. We'll protect their survivors. We'll offer mercy to their surrendered crews. Because that's what makes humans truly dangerous. We never forget our humanity, even in war. The galaxy was learning why humans were different. They weren't just survivors of a death world. They were protectors who had never stopped preparing to defend others. And they were only beginning to show their true strength. The Galactic Council chamber was different now. Ambassador Sarah Chen noticed it immediately as she took her place at the newly installed circular table. Gone were the towering tiers that had once separated species by their technological advancement. In their place was a single level where all representatives sat as equals. It had been 6 months since the fall of the Viridian Collective, 6 months since humanity had revealed not just their military might, but their true purpose in joining the galactic community. The Council recognizes Ambassador Chen, High Counselor Zextal announced, their crystalline form now bearing the marks of battle, earned fighting alongside human ships in the final push against the Viridians. You may present Earth's proposal. Sarah stood, activating a holographic display that filled the chamber. What you're seeing is the framework for what we're calling the Sentinel Initiative, a joint defense force, combining the strengths of all member species, dedicated to protecting developing civilizations and preventing exploitation. The chamber erupted in discussion, but it was different from the chaos of her last appearance. There was purpose in the debate, determination in the voices. The human fleet would be part of this initiative. A Nexian representative asked, their tentacles moving in patterns of genuine interest rather than dismissal. We would contribute our forces, yes, Sarah confirmed, but not to lead, to teach, to share what we've learned about combining strength with compassion, power with protection. Admiral Petrov stepped forward, his dress uniform bearing both human and alien commendations. The Viridian conflict taught us all something important. True strength isn't about having the most advanced technology or the largest fleet. It's about what you choose to do with your power. The tactical display shifted, showing the hundreds of worlds humans had protected during the conflict, not just from the Viridians, but from other predatory species that had sought to take advantage of the chaos. Humanity never wanted to be warriors, Sarah continued. We wanted to be builders, explorers, friends. But our history taught us that sometimes you have to be ready to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. A quantum intelligence representative flickered with curiosity. Your species deceived us about your capabilities for centuries. How can we trust this initiative isn't another deception? Sarah smiled. Because now you understand why we hid our strength. Not for conquest, not for power, but to be ready when we were needed. The Sentinel Initiative won't hide anything. Its power will be visible to all, as a warning to those who would prey on the weak, and as hope for those who need protection. The chamber grew quiet as images played of human ships not just fighting, but defending. Rescue operations saving millions. Medical ships treating both allies and enemies. Engineers helping rebuild worlds damaged in the conflict. We're different now, High Counselor Zextal observed. All of us. The old council died with the Viridian Collective's secrets. Perhaps it needed to. The galaxy is changing, Sarah agreed. The question is, what will we become? Will we be ruled by fear, always watching for the next threat? Or will we build something new together? The vote that followed wasn't even close. Species that had once viewed humans as primitive now saw them as teachers. Races that had hidden their own strengths came forward, ready to contribute to something greater than themselves. Later, on the observation deck of Harmony Station, Sarah stood with Admiral Petrov and Captain Rodriguez, watching ships from a dozen species running joint exercises. Did you ever think it would end like this? Maya asked, her captain's uniform now bearing the new Sentinel Initiative insignia alongside her Earth Fleet rank. End. Sarah laughed. This isn't an ending, Captain. This is a beginning. Humanity didn't join the galactic community to dominate or to hide. We joined to help build something better. Victor nodded, watching as a human destroyer demonstrated maneuvers alongside a Nexian cruiser. We showed them that being strong doesn't mean being cruel, that being advanced doesn't mean being right. And most importantly, that being prepared for war doesn't mean you can't work for peace. The stars seemed brighter somehow as ships from former enemy species practiced protection rather than predation. Humanity had changed the galaxy not through conquest, but through conviction. They had shown that the strongest warriors could be the most dedicated protectors. The Deathworlders, Sarah mused, remembering how that term had once been used to dismiss humans. Turns out we weren't evolution's mistake. We were evolution's answer to a question the galaxy didn't know it was asking. And what question was that? Maya asked. Sarah watched as another group of allied ships began their exercises, their crews learning not just tactics but trust. Who will protect the ones who cannot protect themselves? Who will stand against the darkness between the stars? The answer was written across space itself now, in the combined fleets of a dozen species learning to work together. In the worlds that now looked to the stars with hope instead of fear. In the new council that spoke of protection rather than power. Humanity had revealed their strength not to rule the galaxy, but to change it. And in doing so, they had finally found their true place among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians of a better future for all species.